I, 23 male, work at this small shop, and I've known my friend Addie for almost 2 years. She likes to joke that we're work spouses because we always work the same shifts and get along. Addie doesn't say it all the time, so it didn't bother me before. She got pregnant 5 months ago, and I guess she's planning on doing it independently. But a couple months ago, she started making jokes that I'm her baby's daddy. The first time she made a joke, we were in the break room. Her feet were tired and she wanted the good chair we have in there with the comfy cushion. I was sitting there already and she said something like, "Move, your baby mama needs that seat." I looked at her because I was confused. I took it as she was joking. I told her to shut up because that baby isn't mine. Addie made a few more jokes like that, or asking me to make myself useful to help her with stuff at work because she's carrying my kid. She's only made a few of these around me and I've told her to stop it. One time I was closing up with my coworker and she goes, "Hey, so is it true then?" Then she says she thought we were just messing around, but that Addie was saying we hooked up once and I'm definitely the daddy. Everyone was starting to wonder now because she said it many times when I'm not around, and that's just not even close to being true. Seriously, what? I have a girlfriend that I've been with for 5 years. The next time I saw Addie was before our shift was starting and I asked her what she's been telling everyone. Like, why would she even make stuff up about us hooking up because she's the last person I'd ever sleep with? Addie got super upset about it because she was just joking around and I don't have to snap at her, but it just made me so mad that she was telling this behind my back. Our other co-workers around saw, so she got all emotional and went to the bathroom. We're not talking to each other, but she has said I was such an idiot for getting mad at her jokes and embarrassing her in front of everyone. Now I don't know if I was being an idiot or not. Not the idiot, that's not funny, and she's telling it so much and in ways that people believe her. Is it possible she may either be delusional or trying to set up an actual claim that you're the father and put your name on the birth certificate? Saying it once in private may have been meant as a bad attempt at a joke, but what she's doing is way beyond that, and putting a stop to it publicly after she didn't stop when you said something privately was really the only way to make sure others knew she was lying to them. Yeah, she's definitely trying to rope OP into being the father, either legally or just by saying it enough that he feels emotionally connected. I'm not saying it would work, I'm just saying I think she thinks it would work. Not the idiot, it wasn't a joke. She lied and told people you slept together so they would believe the baby was yours. You need to go and talk to someone in HR immediately and file a report. This isn't going to go well, and you need to have documentation about what's been going on. You might feel bad about it, but there is way more going on here than a simple joke gone wrong. This 100%. Not sure of Addie's endgame here, but OP needs to shut this down ASAP. It can definitely be scary going it alone with a pregnancy, especially now. But wishes and dreams. She can't imagine OP into being the father of her child. If she's just having a difficult time, she can ask for help in the right places and from the right people. That has nothing to do with OP. I think he, unfortunately, needs to both keep communications with her to a minimum and share with his management what she's been saying about him. These comments have the potential to affect both his real relationship and his job, especially if Addie tries to go to OP's girlfriend and tell her he's the dad, or even if a different co-worker mentions it to the girlfriend. It depends how much spouses mingle with co-workers. It's different everywhere. You are not the idiot. That's more than a joke. It's a harmful accusation. Give your girlfriend a heads up in case Addie goes psycho. I am currently 42 female, as is platonic soulmate Betty. Now that weddings are happening here with guest limitations, the invites are coming in. I currently have an issue with a friend of mine who has opted to extend a +1 to another friend, Laura, who has only been with her boyfriend for less than 6 months. But this offer was not to me to bring Betty, who I've been living with for the last 18 years. It would have been fine if Betty had gotten a separate invite, as she is friends with the bride too, but she didn't. When I received the invite with no +1s, I was a bit hurt because we've always had the invite extended to us ever since we purchased a house together 16 years ago. So when I was catching up with Laura, she mentioned that she was bringing her boyfriend to the wedding, so I asked if she got a +1 and she said yes. She then asked me if I got one for Betty or if Betty was invited. I said no. There was an awkward pause, so I just said it's challenging with guest limits and we moved on. I ended up RSVPing no, however, because it's her wedding and I wasn't going to make a fuss. I figured it wouldn't be a big deal, but I got a call from the bride asking me for a reason. I kept deflecting, but she started asking if she'd offended me or because we hadn't kept in touch much during global situation, so I thought I'd be honest and tell her it was because Betty hadn't been invited. She pointed out that Betty wasn't my significant other, and I told her Betty is my platonic significant other and had been for 18 years, whereas Laura had only known her bloke for less than 6 months, so he hardly counts as an SO. She said I was being unreasonable because the SO title was for romantic relationships, and weddings are to celebrate romantic unions, but I told her I felt it was unreasonable that Betty hadn't been invited. She told me I couldn't dictate a guest list, and I could tell things weren't going to be resolved. So I finished the call by telling her that under no circumstance was I wanting to extend an invite to Betty if she felt her guest list couldn't accommodate it. Still, she should respect that I had RSVP'd no. I also wished her all the best for her wedding day. She was still not happy but accepted the outcome of the call, or so I thought. I think she's gone and vented to Laura because Laura reached out to me. She said gently I should go because the bride had basically escaped an abusive marriage and found love, so her first wedding didn't really count. I told Laura, though, that I'm a little over my relationship being second tier all the time when it's outlasted most of my friends' marriages. Laura said she understood and agreed Betty should be invited, but it was a shame because the bride is torn up because we've been friends for nearly 20 years, and she felt she didn't have my support. I told Laura, though, that I also felt after 20 years of friendship I didn't have support for my relationship either. So, am I the idiot for not going? Not the idiot. Platonic relationships are as valid as romantic relationships, and if after 20 years of friendship, 18 of those you were with Betty, she didn't understand that, there maybe is a problem in your friendship and in how she sees your relationship with Betty. You didn't even try to make Betty invited, you just said no and that was it. But she is the one who said you couldn't dictate her guest list when that's not what you did. So yeah, not the idiot, OP. Plus, many marriages I know are pretty much platonic relationships after 18 plus years. Does the bride check whether other couples are still having intimacy before extending the invite to their partner? OP, you are not the idiot. Not the idiot. It's extremely bad form not to invite an SO or spouse to a wedding and to expect the other to show up alone. The fact that you two are platonic is irrelevant. You are a couple in this case, and it's the bride who owes you an apology. Aces and arrows can have SOs. This is a close one, but I'm going with no idiots here. It is tough to manage a wedding, and you'd be surprised how many people have requests and complaints. Is your complaint reasonable? Yeah, totally. But I guarantee she's also dealing with 10 other complaints at the same time. And is it really going to be so hard to go to this wedding without your friend? Just go and let it go. My husband and I didn't really have a spontaneous proposal. We just mutually agreed we wanted to get married on X date. I told him that for my engagement ring, I wanted to wear my late mom's. It's a simple gold band with a small diamond on its own. My husband wanted to add to it and make it fancy. But I honestly loved it as it is, and I'm not into big flashy jewellery. He reluctantly agreed, and I started wearing it not long after. When it came time to pick out wedding bands, I chose one similar to his, gold and not flashy. I could tell he was disappointed that I didn't want a traditional band. Fast forward 10 years, and our anniversary was a couple of weeks ago. I can't wear jewellery at work, and we have 3 young kids, so I tend not to wear my rings anymore unless we're going out to eat or there's a special occasion. I keep both in my jewellery box. Every year for our anniversary, birthdays and Christmas, we just flat out tell the other what we want so there's no confusion. This year it was my turn to treat for our big dinner, and he wanted this pricey tool bench that he could use for his hobby. I told him all I wanted was a new purse, sent him the link. Come our anniversary, he gets his tool bench and is over the moon. I notice my gift is smaller than a purse should be and open it. It's my engagement ring, but basically super-sized. There are a few other diamonds, and he added an inscription. The cost of all this was way more than the $40 purse I wanted. I was in shock and asked him why he did that. He said to surprise me. I said that I liked the ring just the way it was. It's been in my family for a few generations, and he basically ruined it by glamming it up. He got upset and started calling me ungrateful, even though I've told him several times throughout the years that I don't like flashy rings, and I wanted to keep it the same. He refused to tell me where he got it done, so I had to do some digging and paid for it to be mostly reverted into its original state. However, they were wary about removing the inscription as the ring is so old. I did end up paying a hefty chunk. My husband is continuing to call me ungrateful and says it was a present. I told him I didn't like it and he should have checked with me before making those changes. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot. That was incredibly insensitive and selfish of him. I have no idea why he didn't just get you a flashy anniversary ring, if it matters to him that you have a flashy ring that you would then never wear. Damaging your family's heirloom for his ego makes no sense to me. I would be dragging him to couples counselling so someone else can take the time to explain why what he did is awful. My bet is that he thought when she wears a flashy ring, everyone thinks her hubby is so great to buy her such an expensive ring. If the ring is plain, the people think that her hubby is stingy and feel bad for her. So it was a present for his ego. He is an insensitive idiot. I would let him sleep on the couch till he knows he did something really wrong. Not the idiot. You told him numerous times you didn't like flashy jewellery and you didn't want anything done to your late mother's ring. He betrayed your trust, took the ring, and had it done his way without even telling you. To top it all off, it didn't even belong to him. All that money he put into upgrading that ring, he could have easily put into getting a ring he liked instead of touching your late mother's ring. That's the sole reason I'm furious for you, OP. He could have gone and picked out any ring at a jewellery shop, but he took the one that meant the most to you and basically destroyed it in a sense, and you were lucky to have it restored. When he calls you ungrateful next time, tell him you at least didn't betray his trust or boundaries, or your mother's memory like he did. That'll shut him up right quick. The husband knew she wouldn't wear something he bought that was flashy because she, told him that for 10 stinking years. He did it specifically to her heirloom so she'd be forced to wear it. Definitely not the idiot. Let's make this quick. I, 23 female, was at a dinner with my dad, stepmom, step-siblings, 27 male, 25 female, and 22 female, and my stepmom's parents. Last month was my stepbrother's wife's baby shower for the first child. I was invited by my parents, they were hosting, but didn't attend. I didn't attend because I have attended stuff for my step-siblings before, and it's painfully clear I'm not part of their sibling group. I don't get included in sibling pictures, they hardly speak to me, and when I try to engage with them, they move away as fast as humanly possible. They have told me before they tolerate me, but I'm not their sister, and I don't belong among them. My stepmom and dad know this. My stepmom was very tough on them for that when we were kids, and I think they thought family therapy and time would help. And honestly, I secretly hoped too, since I grew up with them and always felt like an only child living with a group of siblings. I almost went to the baby shower for the sake of civility. My stepbrother posted how he was excited for time with his siblings at the baby shower, how nice it would be for them to be together, and tagged both stepsisters and not me. I thought, why show up for a baby shower for him and his wife when neither could care and I will just feel the sting of not being included? And don't get me wrong, it's their right not to feel the same about me, but I feel like it's my right to avoid that type of stuff when the guests of honour don't care about me. So their grandma asked me at dinner why I wasn't there, and I decided to be honest. I said I wasn't there because I'm not close with my step-siblings and it's been clear to me I'm not wanted by any of them, so I decided to do my own thing. My step-siblings were basically shrugging it off, and their grandparents were looking at them. Then my stepmom went off on them about it. Then they said I was a child running to tell on them. My dad said I probably should have made up an excuse to save the argument. I don't know. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot. Him tagging them in a post and not you about how he is excited for his siblings to be there is a slap in the face. What the heck do they expect from you if they are literal adults acting like children? Also, they literally didn't invite you. Your parents did. This guy is about to have a baby and behaves like this? This makes me so mad for you. I'm sorry, they are awful. Not the idiot. Sometimes the truth is ugly. So why lie? It seems pretty obvious that your step-siblings' feelings weren't hurt or embarrassed by their behaviour at all. I would just ask my stepmom and dad to stop scolding them about it. You can't force things like that. Why go to events where you're not welcome? I'm with you. I wouldn't go where I wasn't wanted either. Not the idiot. Your stepmother is tactless and your father is spineless. The step-siblings take after their mother, and it's easier for them to scapegoat you than to own up to their own mistakes or criticise their parents. But their choices don't make you an idiot. You're an adult in your mid-20s and you can decline social invitations for any reason or none. I found out from my son that he was being bullied at school when he asked me what a slur meant. I'm not going to repeat the word here, but it's a word with a lot of bad history. I also felt that it was likely this girl who said it might have learned it at home. Anyway, when I was picking up my son from after-school activities the next day, I saw the kid and went to talk to her. I told her that I'd heard that she'd used certain words for my son and people like him, people like my whole family and me too. I asked her if she knew what I was talking about, and after being mealy-mouthed for a while, she admitted she knew what I meant. I said that I wanted to tell her a little bit more about what the word meant to me and why I felt hurt to hear someone in our community saying it. She said, okay. I talked about why it was insulting and the history in which it originated, and that it was associated with people being mistreated or tortured, even sometimes till a slow, pained death, and that there are a lot of associations with gruesome things that word says to me, and that I didn't think she knew all that before, but now that she knows, I'd appreciate it if she didn't use that language again, under any circumstances. She was really quiet and would just say okay and not much more. I also talked to the teacher and said that I was concerned about some bullying in class and that I'd appreciate it if she kept an eye on how the girl and a few others my son mentioned were speaking to people. Anyway, a few days went by and I didn't hear anything more until I got a call from the school. They told me another parent had told them I came to school and terrorized their daughter, saying gruesome things that were totally inappropriate for her age and had given her bad nightmares for days. I went to the school and explained things to them, and they were upset with me because I should not have talked to the girl myself, and instead I should have just spoken to the teachers. After talking to the school principal and guidance counsellor on my own, the father of the girl came to talk with us as a group, and he was honestly so furious he wasn't able to have a normal conversation. He just started yelling, spittle flying about, saying how I shouldn't be allowed on school grounds, and cussing at me and stuff. I stood up and said I'd be able to talk when he can control his temper, but that day I was leaving. We haven't spoken again since, and I have another meeting with the school later this week. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot. Now you see where that kid got her hate from. Also, all OP did was tell the daughter facts about the history of that word. If the girl wants to throw around that slur, then she can have the knowledge and history of what it means and stands for, gruesome bits and all. Obviously, it will deter her use of it in the future. I bet the dad got hostile because someone else was educating his kid not to be bigoted like him. For real. And I bet if OP went to her parents first, or the teachers, they would just tell her, it's a bad word, don't say it, without any explanation. And most likely, when she says it again, her parents will say, she just won't listen, she's a kid, boo-hoo. You're very clearly not the idiot. If the school tries to reprimand you and not the wrong parents, I'd consider taking your kid out of that school. The girl wouldn't think it's normal to say that word if it wasn't spoken at home. Based on her father's reaction, it's obvious they use that word regularly. Don't cave on this. Her parents would not have taught her better, and the school clearly would not have done anything because they must remain impartial.